Peter, how you doing?
I'm great, Mike.
Well, let's talk about, we're up here in the High Sierra.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful morning. It's
amazing.
It's a Wednesday morning.
Yes.
In July.
Yes.
And let's talk about people that were key influences in your life.
Well, right off the bat, I have to go with my dad and my mom, certainly.
Yeah.
Great influences.
So tell me about Dad. What was it that influenced you so much with Dad?
I think influenced me was his ability to share, life lessons that helped him be successful, and just the way he was, organized and structured, and also taught me about, back in the day, it'd be, Earl Nightingale and those people, and just how to dream your dreams and goal setting and things like that. So and his love of family as well, right?
Yeah.
So.
And so you have an older sister, right?
I do have an older sister.
A few years older.
A few years, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so tell me about. Give me just a strong memory with Dad. What something that was powerful.
Something that was powerful. Wow. There's a few things. So let me try to zero in without too much dramatic pause there.
And that's okay.
Yeah, I think really for me was just almost visually watching him, right? So he was.
What did he do? What was his?
Well, he started in teaching.
Okay.
Okay, and then.
What was he? Tell me about him as a teacher.
Well, I only know from the stories because I wasn't around yet, when he was a teacher, right? But that's how he and my mom met. They were both teachers. He was teaching science and math, if I remember correctly, at the middle school level. And then my mom was teaching music. And then he got out of that. He got into business.
Okay.
It was a cosmetic company.
Okay.
I don't remember how he stumbled across that opportunity, but that opportunity brought us from New York, where we lived and where I was born, specifically Long Island, West Islip. And then when I was around 5 years old, we came out to California because that's where this company was headquartered.
Okay.
And so he was like in sales. It would be kind of like what people would know now of it is called like Mary Kay, that kind of a cosmetic thing. And so he was into that, and then he rose up the ranks because he bought into all the ideals that the owner of the company had professed. So that's where a lot of that, like I said, Earl Nightingale, et cetera, of just positivity and goal setting and that kind of stuff.
Determination.
All that,
right? Digging deep and doing it on your level. Yeah.
Exactly. So he, really gravitated to that, and then that carried over into just his everyday life, right? And so for me, it was just almost observation because even though I was a kid, but Dad's gone all day, and you just have a sense that he's working hard because that's what he professes, and then he comes home and just puts in whatever time he needs to in the yard, and on the weekends always doing stuff, And I think that watching that, modeling the hard work and effort it takes.
Was he a quiet leader, or did you see him as being, how did he guide you as a father?
He wasn't quiet, typical Italian temper at times, which would come out. And so I think that was how I saw it, and there was discipline, there were expectations, and you kind of were like, "Oh, don't mess up," kind of thing,
Yeah.
So
you get one directed message, and then
you should carry it out.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, did you see that? Was your sister treated differently, or did you get the same sense that?
I think I would think it was the same.
Fair across.
Yeah, for sure.
And did your parents were they on the same page as far as the guidelines on raising both of you?
Correct.
There wasn't that friction
between
we
didn't
one
see
saying
that.
one
if
and one
there
doing the other.
was something
Okay.
that
Or you
was
didn't
probably
work,
behind closed doors.
Did you work Mom differently than Dad?
I was
Was she a little bit softer?
Yeah, I think as a mom would typically be. You felt like you could maybe push it a little bit more.
Right.
But if she said, I'm telling your father when he gets home, then you're like, zip,
And that's a problem.
got it. I'm not pushing the boundaries
Not a good
anymore.
deal, not a good
Don't
deal.
tell dad,
Okay.
right? So,
Yeah.
So-
you would negotiate with mom to not tell dad.
right.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And did
That's
she
what I
did she work
recall,
with
yeah.
so she worked with
Yeah,
both of
she
you that
was,
way?
yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah.
then you would pretty much like toe the line,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to mess up.
No, I wouldn't want to.
That's good. So growing up, let me ask you, athletics, because you were a phenomenal, that's how we met, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, that
Yeah.
you were my mentor, teacher, as I got into teaching, and I spent half a year working under your guidance, and part of my joy was watching you, observing how you had this amazing, directed, positive, energy
Thank you.
with the kids,
Yeah.
and it was just it was infectious, and it was something that I had a little bit of, but to see you doing it, it reaffirmed to me those qualities as a teacher, and I really appreciated that as
Thank
I was
you.
developing as a teacher.
Yeah.
But give me a sense of because you're a PE teacher,
Yeah.
did you have a multi-subject credential? In California, they have either multi-subject credential or a single subject credential.
Subject,
And so it was single subject.
Correct.
And what was it that, I'm going to look back in your childhood,
Yeah.
the sports that you played,
Sure.
what you excelled at, what you tried and didn't like,
Yeah.
and then why you chose physical education
Right.
as a teaching avenue for you.
So, I think for us, when we grew up, we played outside, right? So it wasn't always organized,
Right.
which was nice,
Right.
right? I think that's not to veer off task, but I think that's can be an issue in society today. Everything has to be structured and organized.
Well,
for
let's
these
talk
kids.
about that.
Okay.
That is a big topic
Yeah.
point, and there is a lot of discussion about that. There's this resurgence of this concept called free range,
Right.
where you're seeing parents allowing their kids to play and not have the parents around.
Right.
We have where we live, and it's a suburb in the Bay Area. There's a group of maybe 5 or 6 kids. They're boys and some girls. And they're on their bicycles and they're in the sports park, they're a big park, and they're playing together, and it brings me back to what I grew up with, and my wife also observed that.
Yeah.
And we actually saw one of the parents and we said, hey, we saw your girls and they're just having a wonderful time at the park. And she goes, thank you very much for letting me know. So it's
Yeah.
that thing of adults kind of watching, but just in the background and not really, giving a care. And I kind of grew up with a little bit of that too, where, we'd leave in the morning in the summer and come back for dinner.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you kind of had a little bit of a similar,
For
and that
sure.
was back in Long Island early on, and then in
early
California.
on, and then California.
So
mostly.
you
Most
left
of my
New York at
recollection-
about 5, right?
Correct.
Right.
So
And then,
the majority of my recollection is from California.
and then where did you spend most of? You were in Marin County, is that right? In the
That's
San
correct.
Rafael area.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, correct.
So tell us
Yeah.
about that. So growing up, and then the sports. What was your favorite sport growing up?
My favorite sport growing up was track and field in terms of what I did. at
Right.
the high
But
school
how about
level.
early on? Before that,
Well, I liked playing
Baseball,
baseball,
stuff
and
like that,
football
Little
with
League
my
baseball,
friends and all
yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, all that was in the repertoire. I had a basketball hoop in the driveway, and so that
So were you were okay? Because I know some kids that are just like team sports doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
But you were okay with that?
yeah, I
doing-
like both.
That was all good. Yeah.
I think both team and individual sports play a
Right.
role. So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So,
So keep going on that
Yeah.
point. So then in high school, you gravitated towards track and field.
well, it's funny. So I didn't even know much about track and field.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't something you did in
Right.
youth.
Right.
But my PE teacher, Mr. Amston, who you were asking some influencers in my
Right.
life, he definitely was a great influence. He was my PE teacher, and in gym class one day, he kind of recruited me, like, hey, have you ever thought about doing track and field? And I was like, no. And he's like, I think you'd be good at, I think he said hurdles at the time, which is one of the events I ended up doing. And so I went out because it was just that olive branch, to be, it's high school, so recruited by
Sure.
somebody.
He
And,
saw
and I liked
it.
him as
Yeah.
a teacher. I liked him as a person. I liked him as a man. And so I was kind of like, wow, that's cool. It feels good to have
And let's
somebody.
drill in that for a minute. So what were those intangibles that he had that you said you liked him, but what was that? What was that thing that
I think
he
he
had?
did a great job of blending the the discipline of his class with a level of kindness and caring.
Right.
You knew he cared
Yeah.
about his students.
Right.
And it wasn't mean he was, but that it wasn't a pushover.
Right. Right.
But it was that
it's structure.
duality of structure
Right.
and discipline with kindness.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So
Good.
it was great. So he recruited me, and I went out, and his energy at track was infectious. The team was very cohesive. I loved it. It was,
What was the high school you went
awesome. Terra Linda High School.
Is that that's a parochial school? Catholic?
No. It
Public
was
high school.
Public high school.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Terra Linda. Very good.
Yeah.
And did you guys win a championship at all, or anything, or personal accolades?
In high school, did we win I think we did win a league championship at some point. Back then it wasn't as much fanfare around that. Now it's the you get all these pennants and banners and it's written up, or social media. So back then we may have.
Right. But
I remember we had some good athletes, and we were a good group. And then as far as my own personal accolades, I mean, my senior year I made it to meet of champions, almost made it to the state meet, but
that's big.
Finished one out of the running in triple jump. Actually, ended up being an event.
Did you also do hurdles your senior year?
Yeah, I did hurdles, and I did both the long hurdles, short. So 300 hurdles, 100 hurdles, and then 110, and then long and triple jump.
Wow.
So, but triple jump, as far as the jumps go, was because there was a certain science to it, if you will, and I was, not to toot my own horn, I was good at following those directions that he gave me. Like, this is how you can be successful at this. So I drilled in on it.
Excellent.
And probably squeezed more out of myself than you would have thought by pure talent.
Yeah.
But that was, again, based on respecting what Coach Amston was talking about.
So tell me about the discipline of working hard as a student athlete and balancing, right? The hard work you have to do as an athlete, and then balancing that with academics. How did that work with you?
I think it was honestly, I don't think it was too terribly tough. I just got in my own way because I was easily distracted in class. What didn't have to do with the fact that I was also doing sports. I just probably, in today's world, they would have diagnosed me with some attention deficit disorder. It was just me being a boy and being distracted by either a cute girl in class or a bird that flew by the window or whatever the case is. So I would just be like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, let me get back to. So I think I don't think there was anything.
But you kept your eligibility.
About it.
You weren't on probation, academic probation, or anything like that.
Yeah, I always did whatever it was. My overall GP in high school was 3-something. So I think I just figured out how to play that game a little bit, right? So
good.
And get it all done. So.
A music teacher influenced you.
Yes,
Tell me about that.
Mr. Kalanico. Yeah. He was a very young teacher, and he might have been when he started at the high school in his 20s even, or late 20s. So there was an instant kind of connection because, hey, he's the young guy and he's kind of the cool guy. And so I'm in high school in the 80s. I graduate high school in 86.
Okay.
And so he was very good with the kids. He also had a unique ability to have the structure, but a rapport with the kids.
Right.
And it wasn't anything where you felt like, oh, he's a pushover, but he just related to us, and we related to him. So I just remember.
So what instrument or instruments did you play?
I was saxophone.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you learn to play saxophone?
I started that, I think, in middle school, and then I just kept with it.
Okay.
With my mom being a music teacher, we grew up with that, and so
we'll talk about
played
her as an influence as
piano
well.
in the house and all that kind of stuff, and so then I just chose the saxophone. I don't even know
were you in
concert band and jazz band
throughout high school?
Yes.
So that's huge. So you've got only your academic profile. You've got your your music that you have to keep up on.
Right.
And then you have your athletics.
Yeah.
Did you have a marching band for football or anything like that?
We had just a spirit band.
Okay.
So like during basketball season.
And you would be in that?
Yeah, we'd be in
Awesome.
the stands playing. And
That's fun.
yeah, it was actually
That's
kind
a
of
lot of
cool.
fun.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
that's good.
But
So
he
now,
was also Mr. Kalanigo. One thing I remember, like sometimes before concerts, we would meet him at the local pizza. Myself and a good buddy of mine, Gordon. He and I would meet Mr. Kalanigo for pizza before a concert. This is back,
Oh man.
when I
that's
guess
great.
that was not frowned upon or whatever the case may be, and
Right.
would just have some good talks about what it's like to grow up. Because sometimes with another adult that's not mom or dad, you can ask questions that maybe you'd feel more awkward about.
Right.
And he was great.
No,
So,
that's good.
matter of fact, it's been a few years, but I met him for lunch a few years back.
Wow.
Like we still keep in touch. So.
Is he still teaching or is he finished?
Well, then he was at Cal Berkeley. He was head of the music department there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
That's
I don't know if he's
fantastic.
still doing that. Maybe he's
Yeah.
finished by now. But
hopefully he can look
but-
at this
yes,
this video podcast
Yeah,
and,
right.
and connect. That'd be awesome.
yeah,
That's
so,
good stuff. Well, that's a great story.
Yeah,
I love that. And an influence. You had listed for me that he was a key influence for you.
what? Yes,
Your mom. Let's circle back to your mom.
Right.
And so she taught. She was, music.
but it was a traditional household in that once the kids were born, myself and my sister, then mom stayed home.
Okay. Okay.
And then she, as we got older and school went later in the day and that kind of stuff, then she would pick up, maybe a part-time job. But I always remember her being home for us when we got home.
Right.
So, which
Right.
was huge.
So piano at home. Did you play piano? No.
No.
So she played piano. Your sister, musician at all?
Yes. Better than I am, but she
Yeah.
is. Yeah, she
And to
even
this
did
day,
it in
piano?
college. No, she was. She can play a little bit, but she's flute. And
So in
piccolo
college,
and-
she was involved in music then?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
That's fantastic. There's another guy that we both know.
Yes.
When I was teaching, and I ended up
Yes.
teaching a year
Mm-hmm.
at the high school that you taught at, the high school my two children
Yes.
went through, and I hope to have him on for an interview soon, Lou. We need to hook up here, and I've got Peter here before you. So Lou Cesario,
Yes.
tell me about your first record. When's the first time? Was he at Amador Valley before you, or did he come after you?
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting. So I was actually at Clayton Valley High School
Okay.
doing a long-term sub assignment.
Okay.
And there was a teacher there who I befriended in the PE department, and he knew Lou. So I was my wife and I were living in Pleasanton at the time, and I had a goal of teaching at the high school.
So you were. So people that don't know, Clayton Valley is about 20 some odd miles north
Correct.
of
Yeah.
Pleasanton. So
Yes.
you were making this trek up to Clayton Valley.
Correct.
Made a contact, and Lou was at Amador Valley High School
Yeah.
in Pleasanton, where you live.
Yeah.
Got
but let me back up for a
Yeah.
second, because how I got the teaching is so in college I studied. Well, I went through a few different. I was bored with most majors,
Yeah.
so I changed 3 times.
3 times.
Yeah, started
What was your first major?
business
Okay.
because we had a family business.
Sure.
My dad was
That
running his own
makes
business
sense.
at the time, so I thought that. Well, I found it very boring myself, and I was struggling because if I'm not interested,
Yeah.
like in a internal level,
Yeah.
I'm not a good enough student, or wasn't, to just be like, okay, well, I got to do it anyway. I was like, this is
It wasn't a goal for you.
no.
Yeah.
So then I thought, oh, communication, I like to talk, so
Okay.
let me do that.
Yeah.
And it just didn't
No.
fit.
Yeah.
I ended on criminal justice.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I really loved that was because my professors were either former FBI agents, former police, so they had these great stories that went along and
Right.
created a picture in my mind, and
Right.
I liked that, right?
Right.
And there was some more hands-on stuff to do, and I'm a little more kinesthetic, I guess you could say, in my learning. So anyway, I ended up with a criminal justice major, and then coming out of college. Well, at the time, as per usual in California, there was a budget crisis, so it was a hiring freeze in any kind of agencies such as police or sheriff, and so I went to work with my dad and did that for, I think it was about 8 years. And over that time, getting into law enforcement, for whatever reason, kind of waned a little bit. I was no longer all gung-ho, because as you get older, So, but I always remembered, as we were talking about, these people that were influential on me, and one of them being my coach, Coach Amston. And so I'm like, you know what, I want to kind of give back. That was my way of giving back to him, was coaching. So I was like looking through, I think, a newspaper one day, because we were living in Pleasanton at the time. I'm working in Oakland, where the family business was. And then I'm looking through the paper and I see that Pleasanton Little League, Pleasanton National Little League, needed a coach. So I called the number, and they're like, yeah, everybody else has started. We got this one team that doesn't have anybody. So the Astros. So I go, and here I am, young, never coached before. And I had played Little League baseball, but in high school, I didn't. I went to track instead of baseball. So a little bit like...
What level of Little League was it?
Oh, I don't know. It was like the AAA or something.
Yeah,
I think that's the young...
middle, and then there's minors.
Yeah,
They usually have 3
I think
levels.
it was the... Yeah.
Yeah, the AAA.
So got involved there.
AAA, yeah.
And so I'm driving, living in Richmond, working in Oakland, driving to Pleasanton for Little League baseball. Yeah. But it just felt great.
Sure.
And I was like... Sure. And at the time, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this,
And gas didn't cost $5.50 a gallon.
It did not. And so I was, at the same time, my interest in the family business was kind of waning a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm really getting something out of this. I love working with kids. I love working in the area of athletics.
Okay.
So then I was like, I think I'm going to go back to school and get my credential.
Okay.
And
where'd you go for that?
JFK University in Walnut Creek.
Walnut Creek,
yeah. To get my credential.
Right.
And at the same time, I had some units in PE from college, but I had to pass a test by the state in order to show competency in the area that I wanted to teach.
Right.
So I had the difficult conversation with my dad about not staying with the family business. And
let's play on that for a minute. Yeah. So tell me more. So that sounds like it was, did he have a lead up to that you were,
I think it was a self-imposed, this is what I would do as a son, is take over the...
Okay, so he had already a thought that he was going to hand over the reins to you.
And I kind of had a built-in, this is what you do.
That's going to be what's going to happen. Right. And you worked for 8 years, you worked for him.
Yeah, and then prior to that, even before college, I would go in
so
probably be more of a nuisance.
And he built up a base of customers and so forth,
yes.
and that's his book of business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I was...
How did you have that conversation? What was it? Dad, was it like after dinner, or he's in a good mood, or what?
It was at work.
At work, okay. Tell me more. Tell me, try to go back to that.
I think it was a couple weeks of building up the courage to walk in there, and finally I just was like, okay, you got to do this. So I walked out of my office into his office, and I was like, Dad,
what time of day was that?
Just about 5.
Okay, it was at the end of the day.
Yeah, end of the day.
Oh,
so
boy. Okay, Dad, got to talk to you.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, what's up? And I said, well, I think you could probably sense I've been a little bit, and off, or just kind of my mind's been elsewhere. And I just said, I think it's time I try something else, And you
had success.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, he had taught me a lot and moved me around the company to do different things, purchasing, shipping and receiving, sales, customer service, to get a feel for it. And so I told him, that I wanted to go back to school and work on my credential and go into teaching and see how that goes. And he was great about it.
You gave him I need to go somewhere, but I have something I'm going to.
Yes.
Got it. It wasn't just like, I'm leaving, I don't know what I'm going to do.
No.
Okay.
No, that wouldn't have flown.
No.
So he was actually very supportive. It was hard, I'm pretty in full transparency, since everybody says that these days. whether they mean it or not. Like, it was emotional,
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
to share that with him,
Working with you.
And but he was great, and
That's
that
good.
helped,
Yeah.
obviously,
Huge.
because if he wasn't, that would have been an anchor,
Yeah.
But he was very supportive,
Oh, that's huge.
and I think part of it was he had come out of teaching,
Right. Right.
and so there was a part of him that understood the why.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, so then I went to school.
Yeah.
I was coaching, and so that's how. So
Subbing, you were doing
Whatever.
before you just you
whatever I could,
yeah,
because I wanted to get my
Just
feet wet. I didn't
yeah.
want to.
You weren't married yet.
At the time we were. Yes, I was.
You were. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Very good.
And obviously, should go without saying, but my wife was very supportive, which was a lot because I moved away from an income
Yes.
to now like piecing stuff together.
Right.
I was substitute teaching. I was working at a running shoe store. I was piecing stuff together,
Right.
little paychecks here and there,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
thinking, and it was hard, but we got through it,
Yeah.
supporting one another. And so then I ended up, so I was doing this.
It's going to
this
tie back to
teaching
Lou.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think
And that's
the
okay. We're good.
chronological
Yeah, yeah.
order. So I was at Clayton Valley High School, after coaching Little League for a few years. So I was working at the family business and coaching Little League, did that for a few years. Then after that, when I left, got into getting my credential, working on all this stuff, studying for the test, prepping for that, trying to be in education somehow, so substitute teaching,
Sure.
picking up long-term sub-assignments if
Right.
I could. Coaching position at Clayton Valley opened up for a jumps coach.
Oh,
So
from the
for
track
track
team.
and field,
Oh, got it. And that was your jumps or
part of my
yep.
thing. So I went
Yep.
there and did
Long
that.
jump and triple jump.
Yep. So I did that and was like, yeah, this is
Well,
this
and I
is
know
awesome.
that, to break in real quick, I did a similar path, is when you're breaking into the business of education, you're looking for those connectors.
Sure.
So that having that experience base of being on a school, the coach of a high school team,
Yeah.
that lends credibility. It also gives you great experience.
Sure.
But as you then move forward, these are things that not only build your confidence, but it confers on others that you're legitimate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's huge.
So
How many? A year or two there at as the jumps coach?
1
or
year.
1 year there. Okay,
1
okay.
year, and then one of the teachers there, PE teacher, because I'd always hang out in that
Right.
office with those
Sure.
guys. He knew Lou, and we got to talking about it. He goes, "Oh, a buddy of mine's now coaching at Amador,"
Right.
and at the time, Lou had gotten the baseball coach position and the athletic director position.
And before that, he was in Martinez, right?
Correct,
He
at
was,
Alhambra.
and he was coaching there. Yeah.
Correct.
Alhambra High School. Yeah.
And then,
So AD, athletic director, and head baseball coach.
yes,
Yeah.
that's what he got hired
Yeah.
on as.
And PE
And
teacher,
so
of course.
this guy, this Bobby Ralston, he called Lou and said, "Hey, I'm working with this guy. He's interested in helping out. Do you have a need?" And he said, "Well, let me talk to him." So I met with Lou at the high school one day. And now, mind you, I didn't play high school baseball.
Right.
I had played up to, but he, as any coach, needs bodies.
Right.
And we connected right away, and I
Yeah.
think he saw something in me,
Yeah.
and I certainly saw something in him, that someone I'd want to work under or for, as in the coaching ranks. And so he brought me on and dealt with my inability to
So
use the fungo, because
what-
he'd have me go out to help hit to the
Freshman, JV,
outfielders.
or varsity?
Varsity.
Wow, right there, assistant coach on the varsity.
As you know, in that area, good athletics.
And just for those that don't know, it's a hotbed for talent. In
Yeah.
fact, two major league, very established players. One, Brandon Crawford with the Giants, just recently retired, played at the rival high school Foothill.
Correct.
And Stephen Piscotti played for the St. Louis Cardinals and Oakland A's. He came through Lou Cesario's program at Amador Valley.
Correct.
So, and many other talented players played at very high level at the college level. So
Yeah.
and huge competition in
Yeah.
that Tri Valley.
Some great-
Absolutely. So
great athletes
you
went
went right to what I would call the major leagues of California baseball in Northern California.
It was the
Absolutely.
major leagues, and
Yeah.
I was probably
there.
maybe a minor league guy.
Yeah.
So,
But you learned a lot, and I know because I worked with Lou too.
Yeah.
I was one of his coaches a couple years with the freshman program there, and his structure. And he's another very structured person that gets the best out of his athletes.
oh, 100%, yeah.
So tell me a
But-
couple of the things that really stuck out.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Brandon Crawford, and
Yeah.
so I always say this to people. I'm like, there was a game we had, and it was a nail biter, Amador and Foothill, just great rivalry, always down to the wire or whatever, And Brandon Crawford was up to bat, and he got a hold of one, and it wasn't easy to hit it out of that park. The wind would blow in, and he's a lefty, and so he right field. I still say it was foul, though. I think they got
to this day.
to this day. I remember coming out of the dugout, and I'm like, foul, woo.
Oh my
And
God.
they called it a homer. But the other funny part about it was when I was coaching Little League, moved up the ranks, and ended up coaching with a guy, Dave Young. He had 3 boys that went through Amador, all good baseball players, and just good athletes. But on this was the Pirates, the Little League Pirates. Brandon Crawford played second base for us, so I knew Brandon as a kid.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it's just funny that So
Yeah. took
anyway,
off.
that's as close as I came to.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
To the major leagues was-
You coached Brandon Crawford. The closest I got to Stephen Piscotty was I coached one of his younger brothers.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
that's my connect.
Yeah.
My 6 degrees of separation. Yours was pretty close. Yours was closer than that. So that's pretty good.
I know I didn't help him at all. It was his work ethic. But anyway,
So you were coaching, but you weren't yet teaching at
I was
Amador. You
not.
weren't yet a full-time teacher, but you.
I was
you put-
commuting from Mount Diablo School District because I was an instructional aide
Okay.
for elementary PE.
Yeah.
And for those because I was Lou's assistant for 3 years at Amador. I wasn't there. I was teaching out in Mount Diablo, and I'd scramble from whatever school I was at because he went to 5 different schools. So a different school every day back then.
As an aide, so those that don't know, you're not a credentialed teacher. You're somebody who's assisting
A credentialed teacher.
in a physical education
Correct.
capacity. Got it.
And
So
then-
at the same time, getting your credential, right? Getting that lined up.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are young watching this, what I'm hearing here, and this is stuff I haven't heard, I've known Peter for years,
Yeah.
is that stick-to-itiveness of not expecting instant success.
Correct.
That you've got to put the time in, right, to
yes.
really get the most out.
Yeah.
And the proof is, as we talk more, you're going to learn more about Peter and why he is a special person. But it is that. But I'm seeing it already. This thing
Special,
of
yes.
a lot of people would have, even in that era, even in the late '80s, early '90s, would have said, "I'm not going to do that."
Yeah.
They start to calculate time and money and so forth, and they say, "No, this is not for me." And then they would have not pursued,
Yeah.
a very rewarding, profession. So keep going. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm running over, right? So from the kind of Concord, Walnut Creek area
Yep.
where the schools were
20 some odd miles away.
on
Yep.
680,
And through
which
traffic.
is not easy.
Yes, through
and
traffic.
trying to be on time because that's important
Yeah.
to model for the kids.
Yep.
Even though I was an assistant coach, it still mattered.
Sure.
And then I would get there, and I got to say those players were great to me because there was times Lou would be like, "Okay, go hit, help the outfielders," and they're like, "When's he going to hit the ball?" Throwing it up to myself.
Oh, good.
I was a strikeout pitcher at the
Oh
time.
boy, to yourself.
Finally,
Oh,
I
man.
was able to
Yeah.
lock in, but those
Yeah.
guys that was a good group of guys. I
Yeah.
remember them fondly. Like Ryan Partridge and Jeff Piakowski and Garrett Young and a whole bunch of guys.
Yeah,
Good,
yeah.
just good dudes.
Yeah.
Good players, and we gelled as a team. And Lou did a great job, and I learned a lot just watching. Again, I love to observe people in their setting and just even talks we would have, And I love to be. I'm a learn by doing person. Like I'll read stuff. I love to read, but I got to put it into application before it drives it home for me. So he was great about talking to me about things, and I'd ask about situational awareness and in the chess part of baseball, which is huge. And he's wonderful at that.
Yeah. He's a master.
And is, and pushing the right buttons and getting a lot out of the guys. So, and one thing I always appreciated about Lou, and he and I talk often, and I bring it up, is, you know, he's always very steady, right? Never too high, never too low. He always talked about that.
Right.
And I'm so much more of a emotional person. In that, you know, man, if something's going well, I'm up here, and then and I'm frustrated, and I would just keep that in mind, like just stay steady.
Find the middle.
Find the middle.
Yeah.
Because that's where clarity is,
Yes.
right, of mind. And so if, as a coach, if you're like this and stuff's going on, you're not clear, and you're there to help the kids stay clear.
And you're talking, not, you know, not only in the background, but in the competition,
in the
moment, right? In the moment, you know.
I guess now they call it the flow state or whatever, you know. But
your pitcher's struggling, or somebody just made an error in the field, and it's like, you know, keeping calm and steady.
Right.
Yeah, on that.
It's just about the next pitch or the next out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that one's over. Turn the page.
Right.
And
don't dwell.
Boom.
Yeah.
So anyway, where were we? So I was there for 3 years, and we built a great friendship, a respect for one another, and it just so happened that a PE position opened up at Amador, and Lou put in a good word for me to apply for that. And I remember in the interview with the principal at the time, Bill Coop, great man. I owe a lot to him too for being patient with me as a young teacher. Maybe we'll dive into that, but at any rate, he asked me at the time, are you know, we're looking for you know, someone to take over cross country and track and field.
Wow.
Are you interested?
Wow.
And, you know, you don't say no.
No, well, that's your
I'm like,
space. Absolutely.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Cross country, I didn't run cross country. I did track and field, as I noted, or as we talked about. But I said, yeah. And I got the PE job. Thank you, you know, to the Lord above for opening that door and for them taking a chance on me. With Lou's help, I think Lou and Bill Coop had a good rapport and respected one another, so Bill respected Lou's opinion. And so that's how it began. So I left the baseball team and came into the PE department, and then started coaching track and field and cross country.
So, but just look at what you did, you know, and because you built this base of experience, okay, as somebody who's not, you know, on staff, right, putting that energy and sweat and time in, almost in a voluntary mode, because any compensation, any kind of a stipend is very minimal,
right,
you know, at that level. But the experience that you gain, and then you're putting yourself in position to be given an opportunity.
Right.
So opportunity doesn't just present itself; it's positioning yourself for opportunity.
Correct.
You actually you create. You know, if we say luck, we create luck.
Yeah.
You know, it's we put ourselves in positions to win.
Right.
And that's a great example.
And
of that.
so for like, you talk about compensation, but I think people like you and me, we're not unique, but just in this setting, since it's you and I talking, it was never about the compensation.
Right.
All right. I mean, I knew my wife and I sometimes would walk downtown. At the time, Pleasanton would have a antique fair on the main street.
Yep.
We were living in an apartment off of Valley Avenue at the time, and we'd walk we'd walk by, and I go, man, someday I want to teach there. Right. I want to be, because we walked by Amador
So you
Valley
did a
High
vision
School.
cast. You did a vision cast and said, this is now a goal. And I want, and
I would picture it, yeah.
Right? You pictured that success.
Yeah.
And then you aimed for it, and you worked for it. You didn't just, it wasn't just something that was out there, but you worked hard to get to that space.
Yeah,
It's a huge lesson for either beginning of career, you know, young people, or people in mid-career, or even at the end of a career, what the next thing they're going to do is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's
and I
big.
think, and it's also about building relationships, though, right? I mean, so many people that if we sat here long enough, other names would come up, and of how they all played a part, right? Yeah. And so, but it's not a manipulative thing.
No.
It's authentic.
It's organic. It comes from from just being honest and open.
And everybody has a little role to play, right, along your way. And then maybe
Yes.
that's a long-standing friendship because it happens, or maybe it was just that moment,
Right.
and you connected, and
Yes.
that's all it was meant to be.
Yeah.
And I think we try to cherish those and honor those, and so many people played a part in
Absolutely.
bringing it about. But so, anyway, I get that job, and then all of a sudden I'm like, man, cross country. So I call up Coach Amston, and I'm like, oh my God, I just got this job. And I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And inside I'm just like nervous, right? Because I have expectations of what I want to accomplish. And, and then he was like, hey, well, he tied me into someone who would talk to me about cross country.
Right.
And so I, with that gentleman, I sat on the phone and I was taking copious notes, and then he mailed me, back when
So the
people
internet was still in its
mailed.
nascent stage.
Yeah, it wasn't like,
go Google
email
it.
me or attach that or text it to me.
And now, of course, AI. It's like, what do I need to do to be a great, cross country coach?
Right.
Yeah.
So it was actually a conversation. So again, the rapport building, knowing somebody, keeping in touch. They parlay that into talk to this person. We talk.
Right.
He mails me photocopies of workouts and ideas and strategies and that have to do with running. And
absolutely.
So anyway, in cross country, like I got hired on at Amador probably right before they broke for the summer. So and cross country trains over the summer. So I got to.
That's right.
I'm like beating the kids, and they're like, "Who is this guy?"
You see them running the streets of around town, and the heat, and they're out there.
Yeah. And it was great. It was a great season. It was a fun season. I actually had a girl that I coached that first year, and she won an NCS title.
Awesome.
Kendall Nemeth just bought in from the beginning. Nice. Great kid, great family, very supportive, and to watch her flourish, and I think at the time she knew she had the talent. I think she just second-guessed herself sometime, and somehow we were able to connect, and whatever I said stuck, and she put it into application, and it was awesome to watch.
Let's go in that space. Bought in, okay, a buy-in, having your student athletes buy into your program, okay, and we talked about that. I ended up spending a year on the full-time staff there as a PE teacher, and it's something during our lunch break where we would talk about that, talk about who are those key influencers in a student athlete's life, and as teachers and coaches, that's such a key point. The buy-in of the message, and then because to buy in means then you have to sacrifice your interest for the team, and also put the hard work in. So tell me more about your buy-in, what it was that you were having students buy into.
I think.
What was your message to them? And was it consistent, or did it evolve over time?
Well, it's funny because I think I was a better cross-country coach almost my first year than the subsequent years.
How is that?
Because my first year, I felt like I was coaching from my heart and just going and trusting some instinct of what we needed to do to be good. I always talked about the team and camaraderie, obviously, and respect and all the things we talk about as coaches. But as far as workouts, I'd be like, I feel like we need to get better at running hills, let's say. Or it was even just a mindset. So I would try to say, hey guys, when you're out running and you see a hill, I want you to start to think about, like, I own this hill. Like, I'm not going to be intimidated by it. So in a race, you can have that same mindset, and someone else may be in a more negative mindset. Just through that alone, they may be a faster runner or whatever, but the mindset's going to help. So there was that piece. I'd love to talk about the mindset of an athlete and how that carries over into the classroom, how it carries over onto the street, because it wasn't just about being a good athlete, because then you could pretend.
The whole person you're talking about. You're developing, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. I think about the best coaches are not just in that silo of athletics. They're teaching, and even when you're teaching, your quote unquote, regular PE students, it's about teaching them that, the discipline that carries over into life, or the just the way of comporting yourself, and so forth, that it transcends just that one little space you're in.
Correct.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the why I felt like that. My first year, it might have been my best coaching year, was because again, I was just coaching from the heart and going on instinct.
Right.
And I think as far as connecting with kids, that was always there. And I had some great kids come through, and we had some good success. The boys team won back-to-back league titles and were undefeated in league season. But my coaching almost became more mechanical,
Right.
or like trying to be cerebral.
We
like,
have
oh,
to
we
do
gotta,
this. This is what
we've
the
gotta
studies show that
train
we
the
need
VO2
this.
max, and we
Right.
got to do this,
Right.
and look at your watch and come through at this time. And it's like, that works for some coaches.
Yeah.
There's coaches that do that, and it's awesome. But I think the thing about coaching, any leadership position, is if it's not authentically you, it's not going to work.
Right. They can see it too.
Yeah.
The kids can see it. Yeah.
And so there were times when we didn't perform as well as I think we could have, and I think that had to do with maybe my strategy or how I went about things. So, that was a learning opportunity though,
Absolutely.
right? We can either beat ourselves up, which sometimes we do, but you also then have to say, okay, I got to learn from this.
Right.
So, be that as it may, that's always bothered me with distance runners, is they get very into like, I've got to go through the 1 mile mark at
Right.
4 minutes.
Right.
Well, I'm always looking at, and I'm like, you could just use the strategy of being ahead of more people than you are
There was
behind.
something that I remember when I was teaching there, and I overheard you saying, and it's an axiom. It's very well known in track and field that when you're tight, when your body's tight, when it's tense,
Yeah.
you cannot perform at the highest level.
Right.
And so that seems to be this whole thing of checking, even though you're thinking in your mind, I'm loose and I'm just checking, just that process alone starts to tighten up your body.
Right.
And you get out of that freedom of just flowing
Right.
and just moving,
Yeah.
moving freely.
And I think it just becomes very mechanical.
Yeah.
And I just
Yeah.
think that it almost predetermines who's going to win the race.
Right.
I'm like, just go out and
Right,
race
right.
and win,
Yeah.
or just finish ahead of more people than you finish behind.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
develop a personal best approach to get better each time.
because I don't know,
incrementally.
like sometimes you have breakthrough barriers. But would you have broken through that barrier if you were like, well, today I'm going to run 5:06 in the mile or whatever? I'm just throwing stuff out.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you could have run 4:58 that day if you just ran.
Yeah.
Because we're so underestimate the ability of the human body.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
anyway, but
You were very successful as a track and field coach. My son was on your team.
Yeah.
He was a thrower. He came in without any history of
Yeah.
of
I just
track.
recruited him.
And,
I kept on him.
Yeah, so you saw him somehow. He had he had some kind of shoulder damage from baseball.
Yeah.
And he moved away. He played 1 year of freshman baseball, and then there was that he played football. He was a lineman, but he found a lot of success. In fact, he went to college at Cal Poly as
Yeah.
a track and field athlete,
Yeah.
a shot
I love
putter and
that.
a discus thrower.
I love that.
And but that was you were a key influence in his life, and I know so
Thanks.
many more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Matt Esparza and other great athletes
The whole
there.
Esparza
Yeah.
family
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
throwers and
Yeah.
just bought in and supportive, the mom and dad, everybody.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How did, from that first year when you said you worked off of emotion and then it became more mechanical, there was somewhere there that it became more of a sweet spot that you balanced the two?
Yes.
Because I know that as I was there in that environment, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that balance between the two. You had
Correct.
this, as I mentioned at the beginning, this ability to really get people to buy into that message,
Right.
and believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me more about that, about your development and how, because that's a continuous improvement.
Well, I think
mentality.
just being a constant learner
Yeah.
is key.
Yeah.
Right. We always have to be students.
Yeah.
I think, going back to my dad, he used to always say, when you're green, people are like produce, he would say.
Right.
When you're green, you grow, and when you're ripe, and you think you know everything, then you rot.
Okay.
So
be in the green mode.
Always be in the green mode.
Oh man, that's really good. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
always stuck with me, and then
That's
those are the
huge.
kind of things he would
Right, and
teach
very
along
visual,
the way.
too.
Yeah, which is huge for me,
Yeah.
right? The visual part. So
Yep.
I would use that a lot. So I just use that. I would go to USA track and field certification course, week long, traveling all over, going to Virginia, James Madison University, and going to Chicago at Loyola, and taking these courses and being around other, all different level coaches, college, et cetera.
Soaking it up.
And again, the rapport building. You just sitting down with a coach at lunch and saying, okay, I get the science part,
Right.
and but tell me what's worked for you, or what, and
The intangibles. You're looking for
Yeah.
those the edge.
so, but always preaching the teamwork, being about the team,
Right.
being on time,
Right.
caring about your craft, being the best you could be,
There's
the best
no I.
version
There's
of
no
yourself.
I in team.
Correct. But just sometimes you're just not as talented, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's like as a student, as a
Yeah.
person in business, as a whatever.
Yeah.
Just if you're I used to tell the kids, if you're a 54-second 400-meter runner, just be the best 54-second 400-meter runner.
Right.
What does that look like? That's
Right.
being on time, being organized, having your stuff ready to go. I don't have to look around and say, hey, your race is coming, you're already warming up,
Right.
you're preparing, you're professional at your craft,
Yeah.
and being there for your other teammates. Pick the next person up, right?
Exactly.
So just be that best.
Well,
Because there's going to be someone who runs 49, and God bless them,
And it also confers on that person. It's the discipline of not giving up,
Right.
of not throwing it in,
Right.
because every day that you run, it's something that you learn, and you're learning something from the environment around you, from those around you, and something within yourself. So you're teaching those kids. It'd be interesting to look back over the decades and have those conversations with those kids.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you that your influence on them is there.
Yeah.
And sometimes but a lot of times as teachers, we don't get that feedback circle.
Right.
We don't get the loop that
Yeah.
gives that. The one thing that I've had a few times is, as an elementary teacher, I'll have students coming back later when they're older, or you've had that too, where
Right.
where kids are coming back to check on a sibling, or they'll check in on you and say, Coach, remember me? And
Yeah.
sometimes you remember them, especially for me as a elementary. These kids are now high school seniors, and
Right.
I'll say, remind me,
Yeah.
but it's always a blessing to get that, and to they share out how you influence them in a way that you may not have even imagined.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure
thanks
you've
for
had
that.
a lot of that,
I mean, it's always nice to hear, though.
Yeah.
I just wanted to influence them as the best I could and help them learn put some arrows in their quiver for life, and so they could be the best version of themselves, or be the person God created them to be. So I think it was interesting when I took over the track program. The boys' team wasn't very good. The girls had some talent, so we, that was fun. The boys struggled, didn't win meets, didn't win relay races, all that kind of stuff. But I had a vision. I remember thinking how I wanted practices to look when I had kind of visualized, like, this is what I think it would look like at practice when we've kind of arrived or turned that corner. And it's just amazing how, again, God puts people in your path. And the school hired a math teacher, Cara Banks, and a wonderful, wonderful math teacher. And she just so happened to also, I think she was a heptathlete in college, but she loved pole vault, and we needed a pole vault coach.
Wow.
And now I've got an on-campus pole vault coach. I mean, for track and field to have on-campus coaches is unheard of.
It's gold.
So here she is.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal. Her husband, very smart. He wasn't in teaching, but he'd come out and help. Another math teacher on campus, Jason Oswald, Ozzy.
Yep.
He came on to be the distance coach.
Yep.
He helped me with cross country.
Yep.
He was a godsend as well, because in cross country he kind of helped me understand, because he ran in college.
Yeah, and he's out there running with the kids.
Oh man,
he was
phenomenal.
amazing.
Man, he just flits around and
Yeah.
could beat most of those kids still. And so I was blessed there. And then Ron Romero, my throws coach, his son, Donald,
Yep.
took to it. He was on the team when I was there. I was looking for a throws coach. Ron said, "Oh, I'll give it a try," and he became a student of it. Tyler Huff was with jumps. Jamie Gallion came in and helped with throws. It just all came together, and with a staff, and they were loved track and field, and we loved the kids, and we had some great talent come through the school, and I was smart enough to not screw it up and and let them flourish. And then Barney Stocking and Joe Stocking. Barney helped with sprints. Joe was hurdles. I mean, it was, and then Mike Elliott helped even right down to the finish line. Like Mike Elliott, his daughter Grace, I coached, and he came in and just was a tech guy, kind of out of that field. And he loved the whole finish line system because it was all technically oriented. He grabbed hold and made it his baby, and like that was on lock. Like he'd show up early, set it up, and became the guy for finish line stuff.
So let's play off that point. As you're the CEO, you're the executive. You're allowing. It sounds like what you're saying is you're allowing each of these people that have that specialty skill.
Yeah.
Okay, these adults to actually run their space and not get in the middle.
Right.
You said not to mess it up.
Correct.
Not to meddle, and allow them to take ownership of that space.
Right.
And that you can tell in retrospect. Even probably while you were in it. Right, that's how it works.
And that was learned, right?
Yeah.
Because I have control issue. I guess you'd call them issues, or I don't know what you'd label it, in a world that overly labels things, in my opinion. But anyway, so it was tough to let go.
Right, to allow because, somebody to. Right. Yeah.
But again, relationship, right? I respected these people. They trusted them. Like I knew
they were reliable.
Yeah.
They were right.
Yeah. And I had to put my own ego down and be like, hey, go for it. But again, it was the trust and love that we had for one another, and it was special. And the kids that came through were awesome. Yeah. I mean, the girls and the guys and just everybody just kind of really were very full of the good pride, as far as not the 7 deadly sins pride, but the good type of pride, or proud of Amador track and the colors they wore and who they represented, and really, because track can easily become very individualistic, because it is an individual sport that's scored as a team, but just had kids that bought into the the mantra.
And I'll say this, as an outside person, I never competed in track and field. I was baseball during the spring. That's what I grew up with. But always appreciated, and I think that just the ethos of track and field, where you have the boys team, the girls team, and they're cheering for each other, and that's every team has that. They have that. So it's within that environment of connecting, and it's your event may be over or it's coming up, and your teammate is finishing that last turn on that lap, and everybody's out there clapping and supporting, and family in the stands, friends, and it's an environment that's really it's infectious in a real positive way. And it's a great environment. What I've done as well is with my kids at elementary is I'll see kids that are really good runners, and I will let them know, I'll set that pathway for them to say, hey, middle school, get into cross country, get into track and field, you have a special gift. Anybody that shows any inkling of just breezing through, a run and seeing that natural gift. And I always look back to those experiences of observing track and field at the high school and college level.
I used to always tell the kids, because I would always start practice with a talk, and there was a period where we got into a kind of a virtue series, and I would have a different virtue kicking off on Monday, and I'd talk about it. And then
So let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
So a virtue series. So talk about some of the virtues that you felt were important for the students to really understand and to live.
Yeah, gosh, if I could go back and think of, I wish I could remember all the ones that
Even
we
one,
went
even
through.
one that something that's important.
I think unselfish,
Yeah.
in whatever form that took, whatever word I used for that virtue, if it was maybe specifically, and then, so I had been reading some stuff, like I said, a constant learner, and
Yep.
I was reading about virtues, and I was like, God, this is something I think would dovetail nicely into track and field and some of the stuff we're trying to get the kids to understand, to coach the whole person. And so I set about on this path to do that, and I would share the virtue of the week with the kids, and then, but I would only because I think what happens in sports sometimes, coaches, we get overly enamored with quotes, right? And so we come on this quote, and you say it, and everybody's in the moment, but it doesn't always have staying power, because it's like, okay. So what I try to do is move away from that, or if I did use a quote or teaching a virtue, I'd say, okay, here it is, and this is what it means, but this is also what it looks like in application, right? So being unselfish. Yeah, your events are over. There's 16 events in high school track and field. And maybe in the middle of the meet you've done, because you can do 4 in a dual meet or whatever.
Right.
So maybe they're done with their events. And it used to be they'd be like, I'm going home because I don't want to be here all day. And I'm like, but if you're unselfish, you're packing up and then you're going finding someone who has a meet and helping them with their warm up, or I'll watch your stuff while you go warm up, whatever, because it can be kind of chaotic. If you've seen track and field, there's people everywhere. So I would try to give lessons on what it looks like in action, in our sport, what it looks like in action in the hallways at the school, what it looks like in action at home. So hopefully it had more staying power and something to use. Right. And then I invite my coaches up to say something if they were comfortable. Not everybody is comfortable speaking in front of people. I've always enjoyed it. But I would give them opportunities just to show that respect for them as well. Because it wasn't about me. I just was like you referred to, the CEO, trying to drive this thing. And I think that helped. And like I said, we just had some great kids that fell in love with the sport, fell in love with the feeling, the family. I've always been big on family. I mean, that was important growing up. So I tried to bring that to the team as well, because I didn't like the splintering of track and field. Like I said, people just leaving. And it's just about, well, I understood it in some respects, because especially an invitational meet on a Saturday can go from the wee morning hours till nighttime. Sure. So I understand there's times when you're like, yeah, that's fine, you can go. Right. But when we had the opportunity to show the care and unity and familyhood, then I would ask them to stay and hang in there. And they did. And I think it was paramount to the overall energy and success that the team had. So, yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. As we've been talking, you've interjected words of faith.
Yes.
And I'd like you to dig into that a little bit.
All right, yeah.
And because I know it's a core part of your life.
Yeah. It is. So, born and raised Catholic, but I never did stop believing, or I would never say I was anything but Catholic and a believer. But I waned. I got away from the faith. Like
when was
so
that?
many people
When do you think that was? Was it
probably college?
Okay, so that's.
I mean,
a lot of times that happens there in high school, college. Where you're
high school. I went to a youth group meeting, but that was more for the social aspect, because I like being around people and socializing, and it wasn't like this rooted faith or anything like that. It was just a chance to hang out with people. So probably in high school it started to become less front and center. And then college, certainly. The debauchery of college and all
You went to Sacramento State University.
Yes.
Yeah.
As they say, catch the buzz, feel the sting, the Hornets.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still say
And
that.
they've moved up to
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
another level. Anyway,
So went there and didn't go to church.
did you do any athletics in college?
I did not.
Okay.
I met with the track coach to see if I could walk on, but I had come from such a family, high school oriented. I could just tell in the meeting with the coach, it just felt very, I guess you'd say, business-like. And I was like, nah,
Wasn't for you.
no.
So
I did a
just-
bunch of intramural sports, but
So that's interesting. Just that introductory, it just didn't resonate, and
Yeah.
and you weren't on a scholarship, so it was
No.
it was clearly a choice to go in or not.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if it would have turned into anything, even
Yeah.
if I did. He was willing to give me the chance to come out, and I was just going to do jumps, or specifically triple jump. And it's not that coach's fault. It's
Right.
just it's a different level. It's a different, even at Division II, what they were at the time.
Yeah.
And I wasn't that kind of guy. I had to feel a part of something,
Sure.
So
Yeah. If you're not feeling it, you're
yeah.
not going to resonate.
no, especially.
Yeah.
So anyway, stayed involved in sports, through intramural stuff, basketball, flag football,
Yeah.
whatever.
But your faith kind of pulled back.
Yes.
Yeah.
As far as being regular at Mass
Right.
and all that stuff. So, fast forward to being at Amador, I could feel something stirring inside of me, like it was God, Holy Spirit, whatever, saying. I didn't know what it was, but in retrospect, I feel like that's what was happening. And one of my coaches, Joe Stocking, came up to me at practice one day and says, I have something for you. And he hands me this book, and it's called Rediscover Catholicism by Matthew Kelly, who's an author that I read his stuff today. His writing captivates me every time, stirs stuff inside of me. So anyway, I start reading this book, and I just had this aha moment where I'm like, I got to get back. So I started going to Mass again. And then I still waned a little bit through. Like I was all, you get like on fire, and then maybe it's not, entrenched or true. So, it's not a sustainable, because you got to stoke that fire, right? You can only go on this adrenaline, thank you, for so long.
Yeah.
And so I kind of waned again, and then I just was like, I saw that book again. It was sitting on the shelf, and so I was like, oh.
The one he gave you.
Yeah, the one
Right.
he'd given
You
me.
went
So
back
I
in.
started kind of
Yeah.
just flitting around, because I highlight when I read, and so I was
Right.
reading some of the stuff I highlighted, and then I was kind of back in ever since. But I always tell people, like, let's say you might see that I'm wearing either the miraculous medal that I have on, or the cross, the crucifix, and I'm like, I don't wear this stuff, or I don't because I'm perfect, right? I do it because I'm very imperfect,
Right.
and I see those
Yes.
flaws, and that's one thing that I love about Catholicism and going to confession, reconciliation, is it causes you to look at yourself.
Yes.
And I still like it. It's could be frustrating. I'm like, fall prey to the same stupid sins or whatever the case may be, and to the weaknesses. And it's a journey though.
Yes.
You don't just believe in God, go to church, and all of a sudden you're sainthood.
Right.
Like you gotta, like it says, like Paul says in Scripture, like you gotta, work out your salvation through fear and trembling,
Yes.
because you realize how easy it is, especially in today's world. I mean, we got phones that can lure you in and have algorithms, and you know what I mean? And just
Well, and I also think that with faith is that sense of when you talk about perfection and that we're not perfect.
No.
And then that is giving people that you're encountering that space as well to see that they're not perfect.
Right.
And there's, as we would believe, there's not a perfect person walking this earth.
Right.
And so when you have that mindset, then you can pull back a little bit on your expectation of somebody else when you know that your fulfillment of that is failing as well.
Right.
And it just really settles things down to a level. And maybe if more people had that mindset, we wouldn't have so much conflict.
Without a doubt.
No doubt.
But I fall prey to it too, right? Because I'll want to be like, no, this is how it should be, and I have to reflect and like, did I leave room for that person to realize that I understand that they're flawed?
Yes.
But so am I,
Yes.
and my flaws may be different.
Right. Yeah.
My flaws may be
that are projected
in secret
that
or
out.
whatever.
Yeah.
But so that's the challenge.
And I agree, and I think that's part of, as you talked about being a coach and having students work on, their talents and where their abilities are. All of us have to do that every day.
Yeah.
That we have to continuously and forgive ourselves and forgive others around us.
Well, that's the thing, and that's what I tried to tell the kids when I would talk to them about these things. I said, please don't misunderstand me. I'm telling you these virtues and sharing them with you because I want you to have, like I said, arrows in the quiver, because life comes at you fast and furious sometimes. And if you don't have something to go to battle, it can consume you.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not saying this because I'm some virtuous person walking around. Like
You're doing it too.
I'm doing it too.
Yeah.
Because, just last night I screwed up, or whatever the case is.
And that's when, you see, when you do that, when you share the reality of who you are with students, then they connect.
Yeah.
Because they see you as a real person and not on this pedestal of something that's unattainable.
For sure.
You're a regular person that has a skill set that's helping them. And that's huge. As a teacher, as a teacher, because you're in that mode of constantly teaching lessons, being, having wisdom that you're sharing with younger people. That's excellent.
Well, it's also, Paul says in Romans 7, and I'm going to butcher it, so
that's okay.
Any viewers that are
we can fact check
scripturally sound, but it's along the lines of, it's not the good that I want to do that I do, it's the evil that I don't want to do that I do. And it's like, how do I bridge that gap? Because you want and and it's in the morning when you're fresh and everything's great, you're like, I'm on fire and I'm going to do God's will and I'm going to follow Christ's example of how to treat others. Yeah.
Right?
And then you're
and there it is. There's your test.
Move over, Jesus.
Right.
I've got this one. And you're flipping them the bird or whatever the case is, right?
There's one that happened this morning on the way over here. We're up in the High Sierra, and it's a 2-lane road, and I'm just and very early in the morning, 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then all of a sudden there's this truck right behind me, and he's just right behind me, and I don't know this road that well. And he wasn't being very nice, and so it took all of my ability to, as soon as I saw a passing lane, I pulled over, and he jumped ahead, and I didn't react. I didn't do any gesturing, but it was in my heart. It was not
You were gesturing.
It was not. It was not the right approach. Maybe I should have approached it that there was an emergency.
Right.
His mother's sick. He needs to care for his mother, and that's what was going on.
Right.
I think when we do that, when we put ourselves, give somebody the space, right, or he's more angry than anybody, and let him have his room. So
I think
I had a failing this morning.
That's the toughest part, right? It's crazy, but that's the anyway. So,
but that's part of being human. Is that we know that we're going to fall short, and then how do we react to that? Do we navel gaze? Or do we lift ourselves up, forgive ourselves, forgive those around us, and move forward?
Well, there's
a
saying that's been around the Catholic Church for a long time, but it's it's not a museum for saints, it's a hospital for sinners, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
So you got to watch our pious nature of, So anyway, it's a great journey. I love it. I was so thankful that Joe helped me come back to the faith. He's since passed within the last year, I think it is now. But very influential on my life. He was my sponsor for getting confirmed because I hadn't been confirmed. I had gone through the other rites of passage, if you will, but and then I got confirmed at the Oakland Archdiocese. Bishop Barber oversaw that ceremony, and it was beautiful. And then I've been on this journey of being realistic with myself ever since.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's really good stuff. I think this is a good spot right now to take a little break.
Let's do it.
And then we'll take a little respite, and then we'll come back and pick up part 2.
Sounds
How about
good.
that? Let's
Yeah,
do it.
sounds great.
Sounds
Thanks.
good. All right, we're back from break.
We're back.
All right. And early on,
Yeah.
you talked about Bill Coop, principal Amador Valley. You're the gentleman that hired you.
Correct.
And he was a very strong personality at Amador Valley.
He was.
Tell me about him and how he influenced you and the influence he had on the community there.
I think it was probably in my tenure at Amador, that was the best time as far as, I think, camaraderie throughout the staff, staff going to sporting events and sometimes, Friday after school stuff, get-togethers. And even though he had some naysayers,
Right.
some people that maybe didn't care for his style because he could be kind of dry, I guess. I don't know. I always found him, I always laughed with him, and he'd give me a hard time about things, and it was fun. I had a good relationship with him, and I just think he did a great job of overseeing the staff and kind of bringing that harmony to the campus.
So he would arrange for these activities and so forth?
I don't know if he arranged for them, but I think it was just kind of although he did host usually at his house the holiday party or Christmas party,
Right.
I would call it, and so he did that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
He would host that and open up his home to that, and I think that helped. And then he was a good leader in that he was patient with me. I was a young teacher who could be hot-headed and get fired up and probably say more than I should or get overly angry or something. And he'd bring me in and just be like, what are you doing? Kind of just straightforward, and then try to make it a teachable moment.
Yeah.
And he was patient with me. I'm not so sure other principals would have been as patient. And that's huge. I think he saw something, hopefully.
Yeah.
And that was just his style. I mean, he even had he created on his wall, those things in workplaces, like how many days since the last workplace accident, the whole ocean
Oh
thing.
yeah.
He
Industrial, yeah.
He made one and it said days since the last complaint about Peter or something like that. I don't even think it was a complaint, but incident or conversation,
Wait a
whatever
minute, had it on the board?
On his wall, he made
On his
one.
wall? For you?
Yeah.
What, he put it up when you came in, or you just always...
I think he put it up when I came in just to give me a hard time.
That's good. I love that.
It was great. I laughed, and it actually made a good point because I was like, no way, I'm not going to let that, I'm going to see how big I can get that number without him having to talk to me. So.
Yes, that's a not even a subliminal. It's a straight out there. Let's take a look at the board.
It was funny. I remember walking to his
like
office.
that.
I started laughing,
Oh my
and
gosh.
he laughed, and we had a good. I even think Lou was there, so Lou was laughing too. We all had a good chuckle out of that one. So
that's good. That sounds like there was a real clean bond. I didn't have the good fortune to teach under his leadership.
Right.
Oh, that's great. Then at a certain point at Amador, something clicked in you that said maybe there needs to be a change. Kind of dig into that.
Dig into that. So we'd had success with the track team. I think I'd been at the helm for 12 years. Yeah. And also in the area of teaching PE because I was teaching the whole time.
Yeah.
PE.
Yeah.
And I had the great fortune to, again, Bill Coop allowed me to create a curriculum for a strength and conditioning class.
Right.
Because I kind of liked those kind of classes. It's easy to grow bored with traditional PE classes where every 3 or 4 weeks you go into a different unit, basketball, soccer, flag. Yeah. The kids have become a little more apathetic towards doing all that. And I just get bored with it too. So it was awesome. I had a few periods of strength and conditioning. Those kids, it was an elective, so we'd choose to be in there. They were the kids that didn't like the traditional PE setting, so we had a lot of fun in there.
That little tiny weight room.
Room. I loved it though, and I've always loved, the realm of human performance, right? And strength and conditioning and teaching people about that and different ways to program and all that kind of stuff. So we had a lot of fun in there. And I kind of changed it up. I said, look, you don't have to wear the PE uniform, but you do have to have either purple shorts or black shorts and a white or gray t-shirt, right? So they kind of took it on to be like, oh, I don't have to wear the traditional Amador Valley PE with the big block for your name. And they would just, wear something they liked.
With them a little bit.
Yeah. And then, of course, they're high school, so they, can I get a sleeveless t-shirt?
That became the
show
big
the
thing.
guns off.
Cutting off the t-shirts.
I was like, if that's what gets you excited to be Nate, dressed out every day.
I love you very much. And he just would, I'd just be like, if there's that new shirt, and I'm like, okay, and just let it go, because that was what was happening there, and that's great.
Yeah,
that's
so,
fun.
You didn't have to fight them.
No,
hey, why aren't you wearing, why aren't you dressed out today?
Yeah. No,
it's a stupid
this
waste of time. So it's like, if
go for it.
Sleeveless shirts is what gets you there, then go for it.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So anyway,
a dozen years, 12 years or so.
Yeah, and I started to feel. Okay, so two things. Let me try to put it in some logical order. With track and field, even though more could always be done, I felt like I had done what I was there to do. Yeah. Right? And you're always going to miss that class that you left or moved on from. And there was some great kids there, and but when do you ever get to the point where okay, when these kids become seniors, then I can get out? Because you always have an affection for the next group.
There's another group, yeah.
So I felt like I had done what I could do for the program and was sent there to do, going back to religion, that door was opened and I was there to see it to a certain point, and I felt like I had reached that goal and where it could, and it was time for maybe a new voice or something. And I had, like I said, a great assistants, and I knew one of them in particular that I had talked to about it, Jason or Ozzy, that he would be interested in taking over. Obviously, he had to apply for it and go through all that.
So you wanted to make sure the program continued.
Correct.
On a good footing. Yeah.
And he was an alum, so he went to Amador, so he had a vested interest.
Yes.
Yeah. But then on the PE teacher side, I never wanted to become that butt end of a PE teacher joke, where
which would be,
oh, there's so and so, he just rolls the balls out, and then free play today, free play today.
Well, and then nowadays it's on the phone all the time. They're out, and you're just doing something else. Yeah.
And I wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
But God, how do you say it? Did I feel like I could become? I don't think I would become that guy, but in my mind, I was.
You never want to be
not
that
as
person.
interested.
You never want to be that one.
Or just wasn't feeling that, and that's kind of me. And I think it could be I don't want to say a flaw, but it could be something you have to be attentive to. Okay. Because my personality type is okay, it's time to move on. I'm growing bored. I need the next challenge. Right. And I say that because, sometimes you might think it's time for that change, and then you're like, wait, why did I do that again? Right. But anyway, back to it. So I said an opportunity presented itself at a local high school, Dublin High School.
Different district.
Different district,
yeah.
But It
Nearby.
almost seemed it could be in the same district because it was
Right.
almost closer to my house than Amador was.
Right.
Dublin High School, so they had an opening for athletic director, and I applied, and I thought this is a good challenge, right? And I like challenges, and I've done the coaching thing, and now I can test my mettle, I guess you will, in this realm of being a
And
coach
so
for
that's it's a position on its own. You're no longer a PE teacher,
correct.
right?
Yeah, it just so happened that in Dublin, and we'll get to San Ramon in a minute, but at Dublin, it's a full-time position.
Right.
So I didn't teach, I just was an athletic director. So I applied and ended up getting that position, and I left Amador and all my friends there, and the kids. And it was hard, but it felt like the right thing to do. And then I embarked upon my athletic director career, so in public education. So the gal, Carol Shimizu, was the principal at Dublin. We really hit it off, and yeah, it was a good place to cut my teeth in that realm. So
What was a highlight? What was something that just stood out as and something that was a challenge? What was something that just was a real winning, play there at Dublin as the AD?
I think one of the things that was an accomplishment, because it took a team effort, was they have this big scoreboard in their gym, in their sports complex, for all their indoor sports, volleyball, basketball, etc. There's a big scoreboard with a TV screen on it. It was the first of its kind in the area. I had met with a sales rep about it, and I thought it fit because it seats a lot of people. I don't remember the number now, but it's a huge arena if anybody's been to it. It's beautiful. They have good basketball, volleyball there. People love to come out and watch, and I thought this was another ad, because you do ads and replays and all this fancy stuff, and everybody bought in, and people were patient with me as I stepped on a few rules of how, getting Sacramento to pass off on building and all that stuff you have to go through, and the people at the district office were great and supporting me and saying, oh no, we got to do it in this order, you can't just jump okay, because I'm kind of like, well, let's go, let's get it up, let's do it, and then it's like, wait, there's a whole other layer,
the bureaucracy, and
so very patient people there to help me. Yes.
Yeah.
And then people on staff, Mike D, he was the kind of the tech guy, I guess you could say, or he taught computer stuff. I can't remember, visual and performing arts. He bought in, and because you need someone that's savvy with that stuff to even run the scoreboard. It ran through a iPad, so a whole bunch of buy-in, and that was fun. Yeah. And then as far as
challenge, what was
my challenge was me.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of, you can't always use that bull in a china closet type of thing. Like, we had some opportunities to take advantage of some things, and I just kind of ran with it, thinking that this is the right thing and everybody's going to love it. And I should have spoken to more people or had some more
buy-in?
One-on-one conversations, instead of just like, okay, we're doing this now and this is why, and and it's like, well, I've been here for X, you just came in, you're kind of trampling on something that was maybe they felt was a tradition or something.
Right.
And while my intent was always for the betterment of the school and to grow the brand and to make it continue the positive setting, the way I went about it was selfish, I guess you could say. So I learned a lot about calming down a little bit, talking to people one-on-one, that kind of stuff. So yeah,
that's good.
As per usual, we can be our own worst enemies. So. Yeah.
So you went from Dublin.
Yes.
And I think at that time it was just a district of its own without another high school.
It was the only high school.
Its only high school in its own, and Dublin being within Dublin Unified.
It was huge too. We had like 3,000 kids or more.
Right.
I mean, it was
since
a
then
city.
they've opened a new high school, Emerald Glen. That's been opened, and it is a exploding community. I think they went from somewhere on the order of 20 years ago, maybe 45,000 people to over 90,000 people, doubling the population in 20 years very easily. Somebody can fact check that, but pretty close within the margin of error on that.
Yeah.
And then something happened that you said another opportunity is coming up.
Yes. So back in the Amador days, Foothill had gotten a new principal. His name was, or is, Jason Krolikowski. And at those like district meetings, where all the schools would come together, he was the lead for the PE department because he came out of that realm. And we kind of always hit it off, you know.
And I remember
he's a guy's guy,
big guy, athletic
guy, played college football, you know, coached, good rapport with people.
Yeah.
We just hit it off.
Big personality.
And I was kind of in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, he'd be a good principal, or you know, I'd like to work for someone like that, if not specifically him. Well, lo and behold, he's at San Ramon. Fast forward,
San Ramon Valley High School.
San Ramon Valley High School in Danville. Harts Avenue.
Back into this major, I would call it the major high school level of athletic success in the Bay Area.
Yeah, if you want to challenge yourself as an athletic director, that's certainly one of the schools to do that. And their position opened up, and he was the principal, and I was like, it was tough because I was just starting to click at Dublin.
Right.
And it takes, like anything else, whether you're athletic director, whether you're a coach, you take over a team or a department, and it kind of it's not really till the start of year 4 that it's yours, because you've cycled through different classes.
Right.
And so the students and the athletes only know you, and so now that voice is
getting the wheels turning.
They haven't heard 2 or 3 different people giving their mantra, and so it was hard because I think I was kind of overcoming my faults and flaws and things and missteps, and having conversations with people and doing the mea culpa thing, and but this opportunity presented itself, and I jumped at it and was blessed to get that job.
Right.
And so out went the purple and red, the red, white, and blue clothing, and on came the green and gold of San Ramon. And that's kind of my thing, right? Like when I left Amador, I had a whole bunch of clothes, right? As coaches, we accumulate all gear. And then I just took all that and I gave it to everybody. Right. And said, okay, I'm moving on. Now I'm this color. Yeah. Because I don't think you can't straddle the fence.
Move on.
So now, boom, now I moved to San Ramon. And like you said, I mean, great athletics, a very involved parent community.
Very involved. For good and for challenge.
Like anything else, yeah. And so again, like every other place I've been, not to sound like a broken record, but just blessed to have certain people, Rich Hooper, president of the Boosters, and a whole bunch of people on that Boosters board that just took me in and were supportive of what I was trying to do. A couple of them brought some stuff to my attention that maybe I did that they didn't care for, but it was done in a helpful manner. Right. So I always appreciate them for that.
Constructive,
yeah. So we embarked upon that, and it was every bit of the challenge you thought it was going to be, because you got some kids that are academically inclined and athletically inclined. You got recruiters all over that place. It's amazing. I mean, USC, Michigan, University of Minnesota. I mean, just all of them. UCLA. And all the sports are good. Yeah. On both sides, boys and girls sports. Right. Very good. So it's like, okay, you got to do your part to, keep that brand going. So I tried to unify the brand with, because I saw a bunch of different logos. Everybody had, the wolves. Right. So we did our best to come up with one wolf that people would use. And even there, you get pushback because it's a school with a lot of tradition.
Yeah.
And I thought I went about it the right way. Maybe, again, it could have been a little bit different. But, yeah, I got enough people to support it that we were able to get that branding across. Because I think that's important. I think, your brand says a lot. And having that one, so when people see it, they know who it is, Yeah. So, anyway.
You worked with a guy, head basketball coach, Hans Delanoy?
Hans Delanoy was there, yeah. He was an assistant coach. But, yeah, he was there. Got the chance to work with him, kind of a San Ramon legend, been around forever.
I actually knew him as a kid. When I was a kid, he was older than me.
Wow.
And I used to play recreation basketball in the rec league in Palo Alto. And he was always very encouraging of me then and all the young kids at that point. So he always stuck in my mind as a positive, one of those positive people. And that kind of one of those building blocks that got me into education and teaching physical education as well. Very good guy. Very calm demeanor. Passed away recently.
A uniter though. So good guy, and I mean a lot of good coaches that I got to meet and challenge. And one of the toughest sports to oversee as an athletic director is football, right? Because it does generate so much for the school.
Revenue.
Well,
and spirit.
Revenue, but also spirit.
Right.
Like if football does well, it almost permeates across all other
electric.
Seasons of sport.
Yeah, it really does.
And there's just
it lifts everything up. So what you're saying is those other sports will, take on that energy and actually most likely perform
it's like
better
that.
As well.
A rising tide raises all ships. Right. And that's that tide, and other things play off of it.
Yeah.
So, but it could also be if you have the wrong coach, it could be tough because they feel that I got a lot of power here because But I had a great rapport with Aaron Becker, who's still the head coach, and he was awesome. And I contribute whatever success I may have had to his getting on board with what I was trying to do, and I always appreciate that. I still chat with him every once in a while or text, and so I appreciate that. So, it was good. And it's good to see the success they're still having. Brian Bottine, the boys coach for basketball, when I was there, they were good, but not as good as they are now.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see that. And soccer, girls soccer, they won an NCS championship, I think the year after I left. And so it's always fun to kind of keep tabs and see how things went.
And that NCS is the North Coast section, which is
correct.
The East Bay of the Bay Area, all the way up to Crescent City. So if you look on a map, it goes all the way up to the very northern border of Oregon, which is multiple, it's like, 500 miles, in distance. It's kind of a skinny little thing up there, but most of the power resides in the Bay Area.
Yeah. So, and then, we were at San Ramon and things were rolling, feeling pretty good. And then the whole COVID fiasco happened.
Right.
Pandemic, yeah.
And what was that like as an athletic director? You're an athletic director of teams, and it has been shut down.
Yes, on that Friday, I think it was the 13th.
In March, right?
Yeah. I remember someone
2020
said something. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Coronavirus? What?
Yeah.
Oh, well, just happened, something happened in Italy or whatever they said.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. And the next thing you know, you get this, hey, we're shutting down for 2 weeks.
Right.
2 weeks
to level the curve, flatten the curve.
Yes. 2 weeks to slow the spread.
2 weeks, okay. We can take 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
And I think where I was teaching, it was kind of just 2 weeks, and we really didn't have a plan. It was like 2 weeks, and we just go home. And there was nothing about online next, and there was nothing about that in place at that point.
Right.
And it was just kind of a holding pattern.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost like an extended 2 week, vacation. But we all, everybody at home, you had to stay indoors and 6 feet and so forth, and the masking, and everything else that came from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you say? Like no one had ever dealt with that before.
No.
So there was no roadmap.
Yeah.
there was no even roadmap for how am I supposed to intellectually and emotionally feel about all this and deal with all this.
So that's shutting down the spring sports right there.
Correct.
That's all your track and field, your baseball, softball.
Baseball, softball, swimming,
Boys
golf,
volleyball.
tennis, boys volleyball,
Yeah.
lacrosse, both boys and girls
completely
lacrosse,
stopped.
competition cheer. Did we have badminton at the time? I think we may have.
Yeah.
Anyway, all of that stuff
Boom.
shut down.
Lockdown. Right.
Okay.
But you're still planning ahead for 2 weeks hence.
Right, because
you're
this is
just going to be
okay, if we
it'll be
pick
the end
up
of March. We're going to pick it up in
little bit
April. Maybe we have to
shorter
reschedule some
season.
matches or shorten the season. Right. That
Right.
was the expectation, the plan.
Exactly.
Right.
And then 2 weeks turned into whatever. And then eventually they said, oh, we're not going back this year. And so now as athletic directors, we're like, oh, what's going on? Or what do we do? And what's next? And you got to try to stay ahead of it because, you know, when it does start again, what does that look like? And when it starts. And now you have these things that are just going on in society of 6 feet and small groups. And
Are you going to have?
What does that look like?
Are you going to have
And-
summer practice for football next season coming
right.
into the
And so
the
you're getting
fall,
information from the
cross-country?
section office, which is the overseer of all the leagues of, okay, well, we might be able to start again, but it's going to look different. And these are the rules that they think are going to, so it's, okay, well, if that's the case, what does it look like? So we're all in adherence. And then, you know, you're also, as a person, juggling with your own thoughts on what this is, should we even be handling things this way or not?
Right.
But also trying to, I can't just say, I don't think the mask thing is worth it, so we're not going to do it. No,
You can't do that.
I
It's
can't.
out of your realm.
I have to, if I want to do this, I have to adhere so these kids can play.
Yeah.
So for me, I did my best to, you know, as we go through that, is it going to start on again, off again? No in the summer, yes in the summer. What does it look like? Blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, these kids deserve to play. Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Like, how do you even explain that? As they get older, they're like, yeah, I just had class from home and I lost the last 1-2 years of my whatever year,
Well,
you know.
and think about this. We spoke about this earlier. This is whether it's I don't want to call it a high pressure, but a high success community environment where you mentioned earlier, academically and athletically, the top schools in the country, whether it's academics or athletics, whether they're athletes or not, are actively recruiting these students.
Right.
And all of a sudden you must have had experiences where students were devastated to say, my season's over and nobody's looking at us anymore. We're just not being recruited for, I lost this or I lost my graduation.
Sure.
I didn't walk.
Right.
You know, for graduation. And the emotions that a 17, 18-year-old child has with that, you know,
It was tough.
how that probably sticks with them right now, even today.
I would
that
think
they've missed
so.
out on that. You
Yeah.
know? It's hard.
And then they did online graduations, whatever that means. Yeah, so there was a lot of emotions riding high.
Yeah.
And we were dealing with all of that. And I remember when things did open back up, sort of, and now you're in football, let's say fall football season. That was the first sport to come about. And then practices, what does that look like? They got to be in smaller groups. Now I'm policing that. Or if somebody comes up positive, then you had to go out. And who were they around? How long were they around that group? And, you know, okay, so now these kids have to stay home for X amount of days to make sure they're not
contagious.
And then we're in the football stadium, literally, the lead campus supervisor, Tony, and a bunch of other people. We were in the stadium, Anne Marie, the assistant principal at the time, and we're like stenciling. They'd made stencils of paw prints. So then we're spray painting, and then 6 feet over another one. So then when we allow people to come in, they know where to sit.
Right.
And then at the time, it was only immediate family members only. So we had to try to police that at the gate as best we could.
That's tough, because I know that entrance there is narrow, and one group is going by the baseball field, and and it's just tough to navigate that.
Yeah,
whole environment.
we changed the entry so they don't enter that way anymore.
Yeah.
And at San Ramon, you had 2 entry points: the back side, coming in from like where the scoreboard would be in the softball field, and then the front side from on campus or by the baseball field. And we couldn't have those 2 entrances, just we couldn't, police them, if you will, the way there was. So then we shut all those down. There was 1 entrance, and kids had to submit the names of people in advance. And
you have a list.
some people,
Oh,
So it was a lot.
yeah.
And it wasn't, it didn't jive with how I would handle it if anybody had cared to, not that they needed to or would, but that's not how I would have rolled it out personally. And it wasn't sitting right with me how things were going, because it wasn't what I would, and it was not just about me. I'm just saying, being someone who studies as best I can human functioning and biology and physiology, I just was like, this is tough. So be that as it may, I decided 3.5, because my first year was a normal year, then that COVID thing hit, and then we had an interim principal for the time, because Jason moved on to a different district to work at the district level. And, but I'm meeting this person over a computer.
Right.
Zoom
call.
So we're trying to build a rapport and get on the same team while we're on a computer. I don't even know the person.
Right.
So she did the best she could. I'm not complaining about her at all. It was just weird. And as someone who likes personal interaction and contact, it was a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very, very stale and not connecting.
So, and then things started to open up again, not to belabor all the nuances. Probably a lot of people don't want to relive that. So, but when things start to open back up, we have all these rules and spreadsheets and who can come in and who can't, and people that want to try to skirt around that issue. And it was a lot on everybody. The admin team, who were great people for me, Nikki and Anne-Marie, so there we were, trying our best to toe the company line, and everybody's at a different point of what they either agree with or don't agree with, and because we're humans and we should be able to make our own decisions, and so it was tough for me, in a lot of ways, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, because I'm just like, something doesn't feel right, and I don't like the way this is going down, and the kids, I don't know. So not to belabor.
No.
But.
And then what happened?
We had the opportunity to come up to this area and stay here just to get away. Yeah. And spent a month up here, and on the way home, my wife and
literally, as you're driving out,
leaving
onto Highway 80, where it just starts going down into the valley, Auburn, and
back into
Sacramento,
the fray,
to the Bay Area,
which was for many, many years an awesome place.
Yeah.
It just wasn't where we were meant to be. Right. Kind of looked at each other and said, this just doesn't feel right. Okay. So we agreed to sell and get out. We kind of named off different states. Oh, let's go to Boise or Montana or somewhere that's whatever might meet what we're looking for.
Your wife had the luxury of working remote.
Full remote,
and she'd even been doing that before, so
Correct.
she had that ability
to
flex. So it gave you a lot of flexibility.
If you will. Yeah, flexibility.
Yeah.
So we sold. The place went faster than we could even imagine. Now you're like, oh my God, I think we had a month. We kind of did a longer close for that reason. The market was hot. It sold before we even had the open house. Yeah. and we're packing and all that good stuff. So my wife came up to this region, and I was going to work the whole year and then be done at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But that just didn't feel right after a while, being separated that far after so many years of marriage. And
well, and I remember you contacted me with this, and I was thinking the same thing. They're tight, and how is that going to work? How's that distance going to work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went into my now new principal, and a newer one that got hired on. The interim one went back to the original high school she was at. We got a new principal, and I walk in there, and she's dealing with a lot, and I feel bad. But I'm like, hey, listen, we're selling our place, and well, we have sold. I'm living here in someone's converted garage. A family was nice enough out in the Pleasant Hill area. I'm living there for about the best rent you could find, because rent is not cheap in the Bay Area.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to leave at the end of the semester. I'm hoping you'll support releasing me from my contract, which is a big thing in school districts. She was great. She said yes, and the district was great. They understood, because it wasn't like I was going to another high school across the street.
No.
I was leaving the area.
Literally.
So they were like,
hundreds of miles
that's
away.
fine, we'll release you from your contract. And so that first semester ended, and I came up here, and literally the day after I got here, it was a winter storm like they hadn't seen in a while, and here we go.
Yeah.
Like I'd never lived in the snow before.
At least now you're together with your wife.
Yes,
You know?
yes.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah.
So I took a little respite, collect myself, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to be that guy that just, eats ding-dongs and watches TV, so I got to find something.
In the winter. Yeah.
In the winter. Yeah. That first winter, that wasn't the time. I was able to, I'd put some money aside.
Okay.
While I was working, because I wasn't really doing anything else. I'd go back to my little, whatever that was, garage. That family was great. They took me in, they were very nice to me, and so I was very, very fortunate, blessed. But I wasn't doing much. Right. So socked some money away, was able to get through that winter, but then come, spring, I was like, I got to do something. Yeah. So I ended up getting on with a landscape company here in town, and there I am,
just humbled.
In my 50s,
right?
And with all these young guys, and of course ego for us guys.
So these young, they're just muscling it and
boom,
not sweat, and then after they're
there I
done,
am.
And after work, you're like,
whew.
done.
I'm like,
and get up again early.
Get in my truck.
And early in the morning the next day, right?
It starts early. So was with them, and then what they do in these parts is, they transition from a landscape company to snow removal, and it just so happened, literally, that that winter, it was like the biggest winter in, I don't know, 30 years, 20, 25, 30, doesn't matter at that point. All I know is myself and the crew I was with, we had like 18 to 20 driveways we had to clear and walkways. You got walk behind blowers, sometimes shovels for stuff. And again, these young guys, and you're full of everything. The pee, the vinegar, the everything, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I got to keep up, Again, ego. And I would come home wiped out. Yeah. But I didn't want to let on necessarily. I think they appreciated it, the effort I put in. Yeah. And I had to learn stuff that I had never dealt with, that kind of, engines and parts and this breaking down.
Yeah. Tell me they had some power equipment.
Yeah.
Okay. What about roofs? I know that...
I did not. I did draw the line there.
Okay. But that's a big part of their business.
I'm not getting on the roof.
Yeah.
So some of the younger guys that were more sure-footed and would probably recover way faster if they did.
Yeah. Well, I saw some crazy videos. It may not have been that year, but maybe the year after, where there was another huge snowfall, and then this snow on roofs that are not built for that, and people trying to come up with inventive ways to take care of it themselves.
Yes.
And you see these YouTube clips, and it's just,
it's tough.
It's unreal.
Yeah. So
and dangerous too.
Yeah. So luckily we had some guys that were, gung ho and get up there and do that. And most of our stuff was on the ground though. We had enough driveways and parking lots and different things. So And those guys were great, man. You'd be down on your hands and knees when something breaks, fixing this snow blower and off and running. Everybody's chipping in. There's some really great, that those jobs where they say you shower both at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day.
Right. It's all true.
I think everybody should experience those at some point.
Oh
Yeah.
Just real labor.
Real labor. And I think it's easy in today's world of tech and everything to fall in love with easy.
Right.
And think that everything's going to be that way.
Yeah.
So I think that was part of the lesson for me.
Well, and I would also say, as much as for a young person, that you're going back into that space as an established professional, and you basically put your ego aside, right? That's huge, because there are many people that said, no, this is the level I'm at.
Yeah.
You're talking about established, great teacher, and then athletic director, 2 different environments, and you talk about that, and when you did that, Peter, it was a great lesson for a lot of us out there.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Thanks.
Yeah, out back in that Bay Area, and to say, wow, So I always had you in my prayers.
Oh, thank you.
And but I did have a visual that you were on roofs, so I'm glad to know that you were not on roofs.
No, I did draw the line.
Okay, thank you very much. His common sense is more than common.
Yeah.
I would call it uncommon sense, just like my show, Uncommon Talks.
Man's got to know
I'm
his
throwing
limitations.
a little plug in there.
Yes.
But and then something happened again where you can't do that forever.
No,
There's a town up here in the Sierra.
Yes. So I had heard that they needed help. They, like any small district, with substitutes. They were short on subs. So a lot of times people were trying to cover multiple classes, and so I got cleared to be a substitute teacher and started going there in the elementary school.
You still had your active credential.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept it.
Yeah.
And I didn't retire or
Smart
anything.
move. Smart move.
So I started substitute teaching, and one thing led to another, and they had an opening halfway through the year. Someone had to tend to some family issues, move out of the area. I think a family member was sick or something. They moved out of the area, and so they asked me if I would take on this long-term sub-assignment doing middle school. It's a junior-senior high school,
right.
So it's 7 through 12. Do middle school science. So I did that, old school, open the textbook, read this chapter, blah, blah, blah. It was great. Another learning opportunity, again, putting the ego aside and realizing, hey, kid, you got to work with me. It's going to be wonky. Let's get through this together.
Right.
Teach them bring some discipline to the classroom and expectations. And then at the end of that year, which was 2 years ago, someone retired, and it was an alternative ed position. So they asked me if I wanted to take on that role. Yeah. So I just finished my first year doing that. Okay. And it was good. It was where I should be. So
there's a phrase that I learned as a freshman baseball coach at Amarillo Valley, and it's an acronym, ABR. And any of my students out there that or former students that happen to be watching this know exactly what that means. Yep. Always be ready.
Always be ready.
And that is, there are clear examples throughout your testimony here, about ABR. Peter Scarpelli, ABR.
Right.
And it's always be ready. It's putting yourself in a position to open the next door. Mm-hmm. So this is there. You're now a resource teacher. I know you, and I know you do a great job, and you're influencing kids up here at a level that I know is awesome. So something else is happening with this school that you clued me in on, and I'm really excited to hear about about something that has been missing in this particular school district for quite a while. Once you branch into that, I'm excited to hear this.
The assistant principal, who is also the athletic director, because they're not big enough to be separated, he kept on me about bringing track back to the school.
Wow.
So after, I think it's 8 or 10 year hiatus of having track, I finally said, okay, I'll do it. So this upcoming school year, we'll bring track back to the high school and
Cross country
and see
too?
what happens. Not right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let that.
They
so
want
you
that
will
to
have,
come back too.
So good to just get. It'll be a spring sport, but you're already actively training before then, and then
Correct.
the next.
We'll
that
do
makes
some
sense.
preseason stuff.
Yeah, let the
and
next,
that,
and then come through to
yeah.
some of
So-
those distance runners in track and field will clearly
Want to
move
do
into
that.
cross country.
Sure.
That makes perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm already saying right now that one of my follow-ups,
Yeah.
will definitely be in the field watching you, okay, it's a reality TV piece,
Yeah.
watching you guiding this new group of kids
Yeah.
out here in the high Sierra,
Yes.
okay, where it's at least 5,000 feet here, it's almost a mile high, if not a mile high up here. And these kids will be gazelles when they get to the lower levels. They play somewhere in the Sacramento Basin or something.
right.
They'll be able to excel.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It's going to be a challenge because
yeah.
I haven't coached in a number of years. Because
It's like riding a bike,
when
isn't
I left, I think so. But there's still those nuances.
Well, there's a new
that
group of
flow,
kids too.
There's that
There's
whole,
a new group of kids,
Sure.
right? That
Yeah.
I think every year as a teacher, you could see a shift on a yearly basis with the kids. And I think I mentioned it in one of my other, podcasts. I think in both of them, with Matt Tracy and Greg Orlowski, the influence of social media on our children and in a negative way. We can all know that yes, there's some positive aspects, but if I can implore, young people to really understand the balance and I know there's that separation point starting in late elementary with kids that they want to separate from parents, and parents, I know it's hard to keep an eye on what the kids are doing, and you want to have that trusted, honest relationship with your child.
Right.
So it's a really tough thing that we need to navigate as a society.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
and it's easy to tell the kids like, you got to use your phone less. You'll realize, but that's all they've known.
Yeah. Yeah. The generation
Going
of-
back to COVID, isn't that? I mean, that's
Right.
to keep them busy,
Right.
right? Or just being online to
Yeah.
do school while you're going to hang out online and
Yeah.
open a tab and dive into whatever. And
Yeah.
but at the same time, even our generation, you look around and they're on their phones all the time.
Right.
So
Right.
it
Yeah.
can be hypocritical.
Yeah.
So
We're
I'll
not talking
even
to
say,
somebody, just
like,
texting, not talking anymore.
I even said to one of my
Yeah.
classes this year, I'm like, you know what? I'm always on you guys about it. When I walk in here and the bell rings for class to start, I make sure everybody's watching. I put it in the drawer and I close the drawer with my own phone.
Right.
Even if it was just in my pocket, I wanted to show them like
Out of
I'm
way.
separating.
Right.
Because you feel it buzz and
course.
you're like Pavlov's dog.
Of course.
And it's
And these kids
it's
are on
actually
all these
embarrassing
different,
because
whether
I'm always
it's
like,
usually
oh.
Instagram, and they're pinging, and
Right.
it's just constant,
Yeah.
notification.
And it can be embarrassing because sometimes I'm like, here I am pontificating about phones and distracted and,
Yeah.
whoever may be behind the algorithm, whether even if it's not our country, whatever it is. And then next thing you know, kid walks into class and the bell hasn't rung yet and I'm looking
Right.
at a text
Yes.
or,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, we're in this together. Like,
That's right.
So
That's right.
again, the mea culpa thing,
Yeah.
showing them that I'm only human.
Right.
Just because I say it doesn't mean I'm perfectly living it out.
Right.
And so we'll see what happens. But
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Good
So-
self-reflection on that.
yeah,
Good.
definitely.
So that's kind of that's what you're looking for. I just see that as a huge, plus forward on this next upcoming year.
Here's the thing that I think it was very much God's plan for me to not go back into PE and to take on this alternative ed that I'd never done before. Because in my studies, there are some major flaws in public education. For all the good teachers that are out there that are trying their best, it doesn't always fit. The kids don't always fit the model.
Right.
And these kids are just not really that enamored,
Yeah.
or it just doesn't fit to just sit quiet,
Right.
take notes, take a test, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
for whatever reason.
Right.
Could be a bad experience with the teacher. It could
Right.
be a good teacher, but they still had a bad experience with them. It could
Right.
be stuff at home,
Yeah.
a collection of everything.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with let's try new ways of teaching you history, English, math, etc.
So you're working at the high school level with these
Yes.
kids? Yeah. Yeah. And it's what, 9 through 12?
No, it's 10 through 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have to be 16.
Yeah, so alternative ways of getting the message, getting the information. Absolutely.
And it's every subject because it's not a big school, so I have to
Right.
cover all the units that they're short on to get them to be able to graduate and get a diploma. And so it's been a challenge, another challenge for me, and which is good.
Yeah.
And creating different ways to learn that meets them where they are.
Yeah.
Because I can't just sit there and be like, okay, this is how we're doing it. Like, it's the same as the classroom that they
No.
weren't jiving
No,
with.
it'll be
And
the same results.
So it's a good challenge. And it forces me to talk with them and pivot, and because I might think I have something really good, and then they're like, no, it's not into that.
Yeah.
But one kid might be. So I'm like, okay, you do that. Let me figure out, build something
Yeah.
to show mathematics. Like
Yes.
chart it out, cut it out, then build a house or whatever.
Right. Right.
And that counts, right? Or
Sure.
because algebra, they all need algebra. So find a way to solve for X, you know? It could be a budget,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
X is the unknown expense or the unknown appliance that's going to break down, you know? And give them real life experiences and,
Yeah, that's practical.
and get them in and
Yeah.
get them on, move them over and get
Not
them
to
in.
tell you how to teach them how to handle a budget. and,
Right.
Manage money.
Yeah.
I think kids are interested in that and
Yeah,
understanding,
they
you know,
should.
the value of compound interest and things
Otherwise,
like that.
someone else is controlling it for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And
we're
that's
not-
we,
we're not
we,
giving you
we
that
as a
information that you
society
need.
keep giving away,
Yeah.
oh, let the state take care of it. Let
Right.
so-and-so take care of it.
Right.
And I think we need to come back to being more autonomous or
That you have your own, you're making your
And
own
then you're-
decisions,
yeah.
having the skill set to make those decisions.
so when they do, I keep telling them, you should know how this works. So when you go to vote, which is a awesome privilege to have in this country, but you understand how to discern through things and make decisions.
Right.
Whatever way you end up voting, but just be educated, not
So you're teaching them how to think, not what to think.
100%. I say that all the time.
Huge.
It's
Huge.
not up to me. I'm sure a lot of you are smarter than I am. I just want you to. I also talk to them about being hungry to seek
Yes.
the knowledge.
Yes.
To
Yes.
seek, to go on that journey,
Yes.
to explore, to hear me say something and go, that makes sense, but I want to look into that a
Right.
little bit further.
Right.
And
Or-
fall
or-
in love
and it's
with
okay to
seeking
disagree.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, or to pivot. Or to,
I mean,
or-
it's
or to-
easy for me to say that, yes, I want to, that they might disagree, but I like to think that maybe they won't disagree with me, but that's, again, my ego. But anyway,
Right.
that part aside.
Right. Well, it's
I
also
just want them to
remember,
fall in love
you know,
with
at your
learning.
age, in your fifth decade, and and it's not disparaging to say to a young person, you're in your second decade,
Yeah.
right? And I remember that. You probably remember that too. That I darn well I knew all the answers
Oh,
at
yeah.
17. I
Yeah.
knew everything, right?
Yeah.
And of course, you knew very little of
No.
anything. And I think if we can impart with students that as you learn on that journey, you will discover new things, and you may change your thinking on many things
Yeah.
as you go.
Yeah.
Is really part of the whole beauty of becoming a complete human being as you go through life.
100%. But just imploring them or trying to get them to fall in love with seeking
Yes. Yes.
the answers.
Yes.
Because we're just too much told what the answer
Yes.
is. And I'm not even talking about in education. It doesn't matter.
Looking right instead of
Just in general.
digging in, we want that instant answer.
Yeah.
So we default.
How do you
to
discern?
just something online.
How do you hear something or watch something, a video,
Right.
and go, something's not
Right.
quite.
Or just live your life.
Even through
Wherever you are, whether you're out here in a more of a rural environment or whether you're in an urban or suburban environment, actively observe your environment and see what's going on.
Right.
And engage in it.
And even back to COVID for a second, like, just don't be lemmings. Like, that's a dangerous place to be as a society. You got to be like, okay, but let me look into, because, like, you got to get in tune with that sixth sense, if you will, of something doesn't seem right. I want to look into this a little bit further.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, for all the, I guess, bad you could say that technology sometimes brings, it's like any other tool if it's used correctly, right?
It can be amazing.
It could be amazing. So you could turn your car, if you commute to work, or your bedroom into a university.
Right.
There's so much free
absolutely.
online classes,
It's available to
textbooks.
you. Yes.
You could educate yourself
Yes.
for darn near free.
To gain skills. To gain skills. Exactly.
And I don't, you know, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but the college system, it also needs fixing. It's too expensive. It's crazy, but that's another time for when we meet up again. But
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much if you have the desire to do so.
That's right.
And
That's right.
it's that personal autonomy.
Yeah.
We got to get back
Well,
to
stoking that fire. Everybody, I firmly believe that everybody has the ability. Okay, no matter what your limitations are, but it's a matter of then having the desire to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you're hitting.
Well, it's
on
the
is
human agency.
being
though.
curious.
Yeah, be curious.
Be curious
And take
and,
responsibility.
exactly.
And you know, even down to, we had touched on it before we started rolling here. Where does your food come from? What's in your food?
Right. Right.
You know,
Making choices.
you
Making choices on what you eat.
learn how to.
Yeah.
Heck, you see people now. They take those 5-gallon buckets and they'll grow potatoes in their closet. So you
Right.
can even be in an apartment
Right.
and create some of your own food.
Exactly.
So
And
you know
it's-
where it's coming
Yeah,
from.
and know it's clean and it's good for you.
And,
then start replicating that in your life.
You got it.
And eventually what you're going to see, and you're seeing it in the market, that companies are seeing that. And they're saying, this is what our customers want.
Yeah.
And so they need to pivot as well, and they will.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So we're seeing
But
a shift.
That human agency of knowing where your food's coming from, shaking your farmer's hands,
Yes.
the whole regenerative farming movement.
Yeah.
People like Texas Slim, who talks about, that's the first time I heard someone say it. I'm not saying he's the only one that says it, but he talks about shaking your farmer's hand, knowing
Like
your
that.
food source, visiting, going to your local, what do they call them? The food, why am I blanking
Farmers
on that?
market.
Farmers
Yeah.
market, thank you.
Farmers market. You'll meet with farmers.
Yeah.
Or you'll meet with people that are out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
nourishing your body, taking control and ownership of your health,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Balance. Everything in balance.
those are the conversations I try to have, because we just give too much away, and we've been used to that. You know, I mean, it's funny. I was talking to someone the other day, and I'm like, I think we kind of used to make fun of, for lack of a better word, like the Amish community, and now you're like, boy, they've really been onto something for a number of years.
Yes, they have.
Take maybe some of their beliefs aside. I'm just saying the whole community,
Yeah,
growing your
right,
food,
right.
being responsible, blah blah
Building,
blah,
Yeah.
building,
Yeah.
thinking, reading.
Self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's a lot to be said there.
So, yeah.
It's good stuff. I think we
Great
can let's call this a break point.
Okay.
And
Let's do it.
and my hope is that we will get together again. I'd like to put you in a
would
regular
love to.
rotation. We can catch up, and then I know I already have my wheels turning about this new track and field situation, and
Yeah.
I'll make the journey up here and set camp
I
for
look forward to
probably
seeing how it
a
goes.
week.
Yeah.
Or maybe a couple of days during your training, and then during the season.
Yeah.
And of course, set expectations at the right level.
Yes.
It's good stuff.
I will.
All right.
Appreciate it, Mike. Appreciate you
Thank
and
you.
your friendship and
Thank
your
you very
support
much.
and this opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely. So before we go, I want to thank everybody out there. This is Uncommon Talks with Michael A. Vickers. And until next time, we'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.